They're from Sacramento, Xtracredits, and ehSOeLO, and they're going to talk about some music, and I'm really excited.
Word. What's good, everybody? I go by Xtracredits. That's SOLO. Producer extraordinaire, also MC. I'm based out of Sacramento. Free Game International. That's what we about. And yeah, we're here to talk about my man's single that he just put out, One Up, on all media platforms right now.
Hey, how you doing? My name is ehSOeLO, ehSOeLO. It's SOLO, Sacramento-based artist. Primarily hip-hop. I do like to enjoy myself with music, though, so not too many limitations I put on that, but we got a lot going on. Extra helping me test those limits, so we cooking up a few things right now, seeing what we could bring out, what we could make happen for music. My earliest music influence, I would probably say still to this day, is probably within my top 5 is Andre 3000. It's more so just his lyricism. I think it's the way that, I don't know if he writes or if he freestyles a lot of the work that he does, but for the most part, it all sounds pretty free flowing. So it's just the concept of finding that zone and hearing the beat and feeling it. I feel like he presents himself as more of an instrument to every beat that he does, and I kind of admire and tend to aim for that when I do most of my work. Oakland's influenced a lot of what I do. I've grown up for the most part in Sacramento, but I've adapted to what Sacramento has to bring from my understanding of how I'm to carry myself in Bay Area in general. I would say Bay Area, just in general, E40 is up there with the top 5. I know a lot of people try to limit him to just Bay Area, but that's all. He's always had that place. For as far as one of the first albums I actually listened to all the way through was an album called The Mailman. I don't know if most people remember that. It was like it's a real bright orange disc. I don't know if it came out the year I was born or somewhere around it, but I really didn't hear it till I was like 9 or 10 and can still remember a lot of those beats on that project. So E40's always been there. Mr. Fab, for his freestyle ability, I got to give him his credit for that.
So how would you describe your musical style?
I've learned to understand that I enjoy writing about writing. So it's really, for me, it just feels like playing with the language a little bit. Really, I like to focus my aim, and I kind of think of it kind of as the sniper. I have really one bullet to make that opportunity. If it's that, if I'm aiming for that one verse, that's my one target. If I got 3 verses that I'm responsible for, then I got 3 targets. But as I stated in the beginning, working with Xtra, we've done, like, he's kind of tested certain things and we've tried different things. I kind of gone outside of my realm. So my writing style, I take pride in being versatile with a lot of what I do. Mostly hip hop, like I said, but more so just, like I said, writing about writing is my biggest thing. I like to find ways of working with words, and I take pride in putting certain words together, and whether it be a double entendre or something that might go over your head 2 or 3 times until somebody else might catch it a little bit different. So that's kind of that shock value of wow, that's what he said. Wow, it took a minute for me to catch that, but that makes sense. Those types of things I dive into. So my writing style is versatility by technique.
But can you talk a little bit about when you first started, doing writing? Because not necessarily rap, but how long have you been writing? I get this feeling you've been writing for some time.
So I want to say maybe, I guess it's kind of weird that 2003, 2004. It was kind of a shy thing. I was like a sophomore, I guess, a real shy freshman and sophomore, kind of short. I'm only like 5'7" now, so you can imagine me coming into high school. But like 5'7", but in high school, that was kind of my thing. I was always a little nervous, but I knew I had something to say. But I started writing poetry. So my thing is, I had something to say. I'm like, okay, I know rhymes. I don't have a beat, but I got an idea. So let me just write these basic poems, little simple things. But I was writing those poems in standard, like 16 bar pieces. And then when I realized, okay, I got enough poems to make a song, what I enjoy doing is again, diving into what I do, I write about writing. When there's certain things that I feel touch me or I feel a certain way, like I said, I can appreciate being aimed to a particular target. So I wrap my mind around certain ideas and present that. But most of what I enjoy writing is something that has to touch me, for me to really do my best work.
How have the experiences of the past year influenced the direction of your work? Talk about all of that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that one. The experiences of the past year are actually kind of trying on my music. I guess it's kind of put a little weight on my music, only because I've had to come across a lot of different things that normally, as I kind of took something from Rakim. I believe it was him that said it. If it was something along the lines of, if you run out of music, then you just kind of got to live more life. The only reason you don't have content because you're not doing anything. That's really what I took. So a lot of what has been life over the last year with COVID and just kind of dealing with family members being distant and really only having that verbal communication with people, that and just different situations that I've been in personally have kind of steered me into wanting to talk about different things in my music, really, but at the same time trying to focus on what I know I enjoy writing about. Not that I don't want any of it to come out aggressive or incorrect or more emotion than logic, or me say something I don't want to say, but it's just, like I said, over the last year, it's been me just trying to make sure I'm sticking to the core of what I want to do, quality music, nothing that I don't take pride in putting out. I think it's what I've been most kind of diving into over the last year, especially working, like I said, working with Xtra. We put, I think it's a common ground that we discussed, that we take pride in making sure it's actually quality. If we're going to put money into studio time and put money into working in general, we just need to utilize every minute of it for what it's worth, for what we're paying for, really for the value that we put on it. So I can definitely say that's been a positive direction.
He's a pretty dope MC, I must say. And then he just quoted Rakim, so that was just even doper. That just put him in the realm of, you're above all now, because you just summoned the God MC himself, Rakim. So once you said that, like that's my all-time favorite rapper of all time, over the living, over the Jay-Z's, the Nas's, the Biggies, and the Pacs. I would have to say Rakim is one of the deadliest and lethalest MCs ever.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'm just gonna continue going on.
So can you talk a little bit about your creative process? Do you have any rituals or steps that you take when you decide to make a track?
I think it's all anxiety, really. A lot of how it kicks off is me trying to figure out the best way to start a verse. It really depends on which direction I take to start it, though. It's like I can listen to a beat and I can feel it, or I can say, okay, this is an idea I have. How can I best present this? Sometimes I consider, okay, there's a bar that I may think of, or it's something that's clever that I write down, and where would this bar go in a song? Should it be 3 to 4 of my 16 bars? Should this be 3 and 4? Should I start this as 1 and 2 and then use 3 to 8 to explain the first 2 bars? Like, it gets kind of complicated. And a lot of what I end up doing is I'll write an 8 bar verse, and I'll go over it and I'll read it a few more times. And if I don't like it or I doubt it, I'll try to pick at it. But if it gets to the point where if I'm picking at it too much and it's completely altered, then I'll just reset. So a little bit about my process, that's kind of what it looks like on the shell of it. It's kind of a matrix, but I've grown to understand it. A lot of it helped when I was actually writing it on paper rather than putting it in a phone. So I've steered away from doing as much digital work. But I mean, I'm figuring out my format, but it's a little complicated to start off.
But where do you see yourself in 2030? what will you be doing?
9 years, or let's say just a solid 10 from now, my goal would be to have created more wealth beyond myself in music, because I have a really, we could go all day about the things that I dislike about corporate employment, but music in general is my outlet. And I know a lot of people that have talent and don't know where to put it. If I can be the one that has kind of kicked down all those doors, you don't necessarily have to be with me right now to see me pick all these locks and solve all these things. But if I can take you down the hallway of what used to be locked doors and it's now just a pathway to what I can show you how to do, as long as you want to hang on and be loyal to the attention that needs to be provided to it, then in 10 years, I should see a lot more success behind just me. And I really wouldn't have to worry too much about ghostwriting for a check. It would be something I could just do for the purpose of just wanting to get my ideas put out.
Before we end, maybe say anything or give a shout out to anybody.
My mom. I gotta do that on every platform. I mean, regardless, big, small, starting out, little, I mean, whatever the case is, I gotta give her that. That's just from the fact of me doing my work in school and having to put time into writing all these essays and her helping me do that work. I never wanted to be an English teacher, but my way with words stemmed from me having to sit down and get that work done.
Thank you so much. This is very nice.
Thank you.